The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of this radio station, its management, or its sponsors. Listeners are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusions.
They don't believe me, but I was there. I saw what I saw. I know what I saw on the Fringe Radio Network. Why don't you go to FringeRadioNetwork.com?
Welcome to the Hour of Power. I am your host, Andra P'Lonas, and thank you for joining me. We've been talking about Revelation chapter 12, and we're about to go over into 13 and 14. We're going to try to make it all the way through to 17. Looking at Revelation chapter 12, I find it very interesting that the accuser of our brothers, who accuses them before our God day and night, has been hurled down. This is saying, if I'm understanding this correctly, this is saying that Satan stands before the throne of God, accusing Christians, those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Satan has no right to accuse anyone of anything after what all he's done. I mean, he's done things that are unforgivable to God. And he's got the audacity to stand before God and accuse somebody else of something. I mean, here in the South, what we call that is cleaning up your own backyard before you start pointing your finger at other people. I mean, no one has ever betrayed God worse than Satan did. No one has ever betrayed God worse than Satan. Why does he think he has the right? What gives him the right to stand before God's throne to begin with? And what gives him the right to accuse somebody of something? Because honestly, I can't find anywhere in this Bible, I can't find a scripture, I can't find anything that tells me Satan has the right to do this. And you know, if Satan's mouth is moving, he's lying, right? So if he's accusing somebody of something, most of the time, it's just a bunch of lies he's made up, or it's a little bit of the truth exaggerated. Maybe, just maybe, this has something to do with why Michael all of a sudden put the smackdown on Satan. Now, once Satan and his angels are hurled down to the earth, they're no longer out there on the other side of the sky. They're on our turf now, right? Who did God give jurisdiction to this earth to? Us. Who has the most supreme authority on this planet? The church. And you should know what church means. I don't want to have to get off topic to explain what church means. But Satan, He betrayed God worse than anything, and he thinks he's got the right to stand before God now and accuse humans. Is that like crazy or what? No wonder Michael the archangel smacks him down, because he has no right. He has no right at all. And then when we get down into chapter 13 is just a long, drawn-out generalization of how Satan gets people to believe lies by using imaginary fairy tales. I mean, I'm giving you the brief rundown of chapter 13, but when you set up an image, in the beginning of chapter 13, it talks about a beast coming out of the sea, resembling a leopard, but had the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast his power, throne, and great authority. One of the heads of the beast seemed to have a fatal wound, but the fatal wound was healed. The whole world was astonished and followed the beast. Men worshiped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast, and they also worshiped the beast, and they asked, who is like the beast? Who can make war against him? Okay. The beast is uttering proud and blasphemous words while he's exercising authority over a large population of the world. He was given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All inhabitants of the earth will worship the beast, all whose names have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, belonging to the Lamb that was slain from the creation of the world. This leopard, bear, lion. Chapter 13 says that a leopard, bear, lion came out of the sea. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a leopard and a bear and a lion are all land creatures. But this is saying here that this creature came out of the sea. This text says the beast came from the sea. From would indicate past, a history. So if a creature looks like a leopard, bear, lion, and it comes from the sea, then would it be reasonable to assume that this is a creature that we don't really know where it came from? This is something that we cannot trace its origin back to one specific thing, because it's meant to be confusing on purpose. That would indicate to me it's an optical illusion, because it looks like one thing and then it looks like another thing and then it looks like another thing. So I'm not sure what this is. I'm not sure what this thing is, and I'm not sure where it came from, because land animals don't come from the sea. Basically, mixed signals, stories or lies that are all made up and that are sending mixed signals to the mind in order to confuse the mind. And, first the world is flat, then the world is round, and then the world is flat again. I mean, it just keeps going like that. Lie after lie after lie. So basically, chapter 13 is the way in which the few people in this world who deal directly with Satan, this is how they successfully deceive everyone globally. Chapter 14 looks to me like what's going on in eternity. At the same time, chapter 13 is happening, chapter 14 is happening at the same time. Now, think about who's writing this. The Apostle John. The Apostle John is seeing things that are taking place on earth and in the heavens. By the time we get to the end of chapter 16, the fight's over. Then when we get to chapter 17, we see the destruction of the city is referred to as Mystery Babylon the Great, aka Sin City. It says that an angel carried John away in the spirit into a desert, and he saw a woman on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. What are blasphemous names? Well, when I was trying to look up what is a blasphemous name, it said the beast was covered with blasphemous names. Some of my research would indicate that a blasphemy would be to insult God, to provoke God, shows disdain or contempt towards God, reproaches God, or defies God. It is an insult to God to ascribe his attributes to Satan and Satan's to God. The name Lucifer has both a positive and a negative translation. The negative translation is arrogant, boastful fool. An arrogant, boastful fool. I think one thing that we can assume, or the best advice I can give after reading Revelation 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 is never look to Satan to reveal truth. Never look to Satan to, if you look at Satan as what not to do. And if Satan is saying something, most of the time, the opposite is really true. Whatever Satan is saying, the opposite is the truth. He talks real big about how he can defeat God, but it's just talk. It's just talk. That's it. When it's time to do it, he can't back it up. Now, blasphemy is also taking God's name in vain, pretending to be God, and the Antichrist pretends to be Jesus. So that's someone taking on God's identity that's not God, or that's not the Lord, and making people believe that, successfully being able to convince someone that you're the Lord or that you're God successfully. Okay, this says that the beast was successful in his attempt to convince people that he was God or that he was more powerful than God in order to hurt, damage, or injure fame or the reputation of God. It's kind of what happens in Matthew 24. I think Matthew 24 is the best example because you've got all these different versions of Jesus and none of them are the real Jesus, right? And because you've got all these different Jesuses, it talks about how the world, people in all the world fight against each other and people's love grows cold. The love of people, grows cold and people fall away from the faith. And that's because it's hurting and it's doing damage to the fame or the reputation of the Lord. Like trying to say that Jesus has had sex before and has fathered children before while he was here on earth. I mean, that is reducing him down to a position where he's unworthy of our respect. Also, people who claim to be Christians but are not Christians give Christianity a bad name.
They don't believe me, but I was there. I saw what I saw. I know what I saw on the Fringe Radio Network. Why don't you go to FringeRadioNetwork.com? Fringe Radio Network. You are listening to the Fringe Radio Network. FringeRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining me today. Talking about Revelation 13 through 18, basically. And I know you don't want to tune in to this radio show or listen to me on YouTube just to hear me read the scriptures when you could actually read them for yourself. What I want to do is I just want to kind of talk about overall what it means. And as I've said before, there's certain things that I've heard taught throughout my lifetime about the end and about Revelation, and that I just don't believe is true. I've heard a lot of preachers say that the Antichrist tries to make world peace and he tries to do all this stuff to imitate Jesus. But I'm not seeing that. I've been over the book of Revelation and I've combed through the Bible and I can't find anywhere where Satan tries to make peace for anything, for any reason. I don't believe Satan has the power to get a global one world order together, because to do that, he would have to be able to get everybody to believe one thing. And Satan's power does not come from getting everybody on the same page and unified. Satan's power is in keeping people confused. I don't believe Satan can unite the masses with one belief. I don't believe that's how he controls and deceives the entire world. I believe that Satan's power and control is in keeping people confused and deceived. Now, he can probably unite small groups of people, false beliefs that work like an invisible cage. Okay, lies are just like an invisible cage that keeps you locked up. And it's lies about all kinds of things. Lies about who you are. Lies about God and history. Lies about other people. And most of the time, these lies are divisive, meaning they're negative and they always make you hate. Basically, it's all about what not to believe. That's what Revelation chapter 13 is all about. It's all about believing any kind of made up fairy tale story except for what he doesn't want you to know. Satan's power and control is in keeping you blind to the truth. His power is not in uniting people under one leader. That's not how this works. Because if you notice, the dragon has more than just one head. It represents secular authority and religious deception. It's kind of like a caste system. You have the imperials at the top, and then you have your government leaders, your religious leaders. Then you have your specially skilled people, the skilled craftsmen. These would be like PR people or people that put a little shine on it. They make it look all good to you. Whatever it is, they're trying to, the government and the religion are trying. If you're not compliable or pliable, you get stuck down on the bottom of the barrel with the laborers. These are the poor slaves. But it's all about, the mark is all about marking you, putting you into a category or labeling you. The Lord's followers are kind of sifted out of this system. They're alienated, socially and economically boycotted. They get to do the dirtiest jobs. If you're one of the Lord's followers and you get persecuted by this Revelation chapter 13 system, then Revelation chapter 14 explains what happens to you. Some of the Lord's followers do die here, and some of them are forced into poverty. So in short, Revelation 13 is about creating all the different beliefs out here. They're all false. These are fairy tale stories. These are myths. It's all about keeping people confused. I mean, because chapter 13 starts out with a leopard bear lion, right? A creature that comes from the sea. Land animals don't come from the sea. So that would indicate we can't authenticate the origin of the leopard bear lion. We can't authenticate its origin. And it also represents an optical illusion, or a creature that keeps changing forms over. Think about how a lot of what we so-called believe, and if you just study religion in general, there are certain groups and societies and cultures and subcultures that are non-religious. Sometimes they deify other beliefs, like political beliefs. I mean, think about it. What makes people want to riot? And it's not a lot of people doing this. It's just a small few people that are causing this entire global chaos because they're connected with that thing out there in outer space. the thing that the Bible says is Satan. I think, I'm just going to kind of wrap it up here. I believe only Jesus Christ can pull random people from all over the world, sift them out of a world full of confusing beliefs that just trap our minds. I believe that only Jesus Christ can pull people from the population and unite them together with one belief. Only Jesus Christ can do that. Only Jesus Christ can bring peace. And chapter 13 kind of goes along with Matthew 24. When Jesus said many false Christs will come. Because in the past, most of the preachers I've listened to preach Revelation 13, like there's, for some strange reason, a lot of people in this world are going to just believe in Satan and follow Satan. But I don't believe that's the case here. I believe that his power comes from you not believing in him and believing some other story about something else. The only people dying here in chapter 13 of Revelation and Matthew 24, a group of people who know one thing that's really true, and that is that Jesus Christ is not a religion, period. Is there a religion where everybody's equal? Well, Christianity in theory, but not really. A lot of the problems in the United States are caused by so-called Christian leaders that are really political activists who are united with our secular government, right? Government and religion united together. Did Jesus unite with government? Did Jesus unite with government? No. Jesus Christ is not a religion. He is a king. Satan does not want you to know that. So he wants to snuff out all the people that know that. He wants to kill off anybody that threatens his power and control. That's what the mark of the beast is all about. Who he has control over and who he doesn't. And you can believe anything except the truth. Now I want to talk about a mile marker. Because I think, and I've said this before, but when we read the book of Revelation, we read it from front to back as if we're reading it in a straight line from beginning to end. And Revelation is not something that you can understand like you draw one point and then a straight line and then another point and that's the end. Revelation is not a straight line. Revelation is a pattern of different things that are all happening in a certain sequence and in a certain order at the same time. Revelation is just like the inside of a clock. It's like gears. And what you have to do with Revelation, well, let me just say it like this. This is what I've done in the book of Revelation to try to help me understand it. I look for mile markers, pivotal points. And there's one thing in the book of Revelation that's consistent, and that's an earthquake. In about 5 or 6 different places, the book of Revelation talks about an earthquake. And centered around this earthquake, in every place it talks about this earthquake, you can see a lot of the same things happening that lead up around about the time the earthquake happens. And from what I can understand about this earthquake, this is a global earthquake. This is an earthquake that shakes the entire planet. This is an earthquake that shakes every continent on the planet. You know how Jesus said that when you see the fig tree bloom, you know that summer's near? Well, I believe that when we see this earthquake, then that's going to be our signal, the earthquake. Because every time it mentions this earthquake in Revelation, it seems like the earthquake has the same effect on everybody, every time. So overall, in general, I believe that the book of Revelation is the end of Satan and the imperial cult. It's the end of government and religion teaming up together, working together, so that you have just a few people controlling the entire world under Satan. And like I said, the only people who are persecuted under this system in Revelation chapter 13 and Matthew chapter 24 are the people who know who the real Jesus Christ is. And when I say that, I mean people who can put a face with the name. You want me to tell you what'll keep you from having sex outside of marriage, or what will keep you from telling a lie? What will keep you from sinning more than anything in the world is his face popping up into your mind at the same time you're being tempted to sin. According to the book of Revelation, how many people can put a face with a name? As far as I can see, 24. Out of the entire population of the world, 24 people, 24 elders or whatever. So is it reasonable for me to believe that then that the Lord only allows 24 people to actually know what he looks like? All the children of God come to assemble, right? The sons of God, they all come to assemble, the great assembly. Now, I don't know about all the people dressed in white waving the palm branches. I don't know if they're close enough to the throne. But when John describes it, he describes it from the center where the throne is outward. He's moving outward. So I don't know if the people waving the palm branches dressed in white actually know what the Lord looks like. But I believe the 24 elders are 24 people that live on this planet who can actually put a face with that name. When you say Jesus Christ, the Messiah, they can actually put a face with that name. Just like if you say Andra P'Lonas, my face pops up in your mind, right? Even though there is someone out there trying to pretend to be me, I'm not even worried about it. In my last message, I said that we need to narrow all this down to one possibility. That's exactly what Revelation chapter 13 is keeping you from doing. Chapter 13 is how that whole system is set up. And this earthquake is the end of it all. Okay? Well, actually, it's the end of the world as we know it today. To kind of sum it all up, the earthquake here is the key to Revelation. And like I said, about 5 or 6 times in the book of Revelation, it talks about this earthquake. Some people may believe it's 5 different earthquakes. I do not believe it's 5 different earthquakes. Because in order to think that, you would have to be thinking about Revelation in chronological order. And Revelation, you can't think about Revelation as a book from beginning to end because it's not chronological. Revelation is like a machine with different parts doing different things. Think of it that way. But this earthquake is where the end of Satan, as soon as this earthquake hits the entire world, it's going to be a worldwide global earthquake. It's going to shake every continent. But the main thing, it's going to destroy Sin City really bad. That is, at that moment, that is when Satan is going to be destroyed. That's the beginning of the Lord destroying Satan once and for all. He's going to come out. He's going to expose Satan. He's going to make sure everything is clear to everyone once and for all.